Welcome to She's a Full-On Monet, a digital lifestyle magazine for women. Every week, our editor-in-chief, Kelly Castillo, along with Megan Block and special guests, participate in a deep dive discussion about recent articles and topics we have covered. We invite you to become part of our community where everyone's welcome. You can totally sit with us.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to She's a Full-On Monet. I'm your host, Kelly, and I have with me Megan.
Hi, Kelly. Good to see you.
Hi, thank you. Nice to see you as well. Happy Easter.
Yes, I know. Here.
Yeah, it's finally starting to feel like real spring over here. Nice warm weather.
Yeah, we had like 150 degrees for 3 days, and then it's like a nice, cool, brisk 70. It's like spring. You never know what you're going to get when you wake up and get dressed in the morning with spring and sun.
Exactly. Sometimes you get all different weather in the same day.
Yeah.
Well, we have been covering some more like self-help style and mental health issue topics lately. Kind of diverge from that a little bit and do something different. So we are going to talk about moving today and give you guys some tips on moving from our experience with it and moving with kids and all the little things you do to make it easier.
Yep. I remember when I was nannying with you, and we moved a lot, you know, and you had such a system down because that was something you liked. You liked to not be in the same space. So I feel like your tips from people come from like just general experience, you know, and figuring out what works and what's worth it and what's not. And, you know, like it just comes from mastering the skill out of consistently repeating it. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, we just moved, a temporary move, but we still had to move everything we own out of our house back in October. And I'm in the midst of a move for my daughter right now, which I'm coordinating because she's out of state. She's moving across the country, which is very hectic and stressful. I had one daughter do that in January, and I'm having my other daughter do that currently this month. So I feel like these tips are going to be fresh in my mind because I'm going through it.
I don't even know what it would be like. Those are so that you've done it all, it sounds like, because you've moved out to not move it into somewhere, sounds like, because you had to move everything out, but are you using everything that you?
No, we're not using
a lot in storage.
Yeah. So let me explain for our listeners who may not know, we are renovating our primary house. So everything we owned had to be moved out because we are doing something in every single room. And there was no space that was going on. Got boxed and cataloged and moved into storage units because the property that we're in right now was already. So we did not use any of the stuff. We took a minimum amount of our clothing, at the minimum amount you through May or June. Obviously, that takes you through holidays. That takes you through several different weather scenarios and traveling. So yeah, it's been really hectic. Thankfully, I mean, I can go get stuff out of storage if I need to because our system is organized, but they're so full of stuff. It's not easy to get a specific box out. Wow. So it's been very hectic, but we're managing it. We're recording this in April. We're anticipating being back in our home in June, maybe July at the latest. So we'll be doing this again in a few months.
That's good news. That doesn't seem, I mean, it's been a long time though. This has been a long process for you. So
yes, I mean, to give some context, we completely brand new kitchen. We didn't keep anything from the kitchen. We're not even like the walls, all new windows and doors through the entire house, all new flooring. The master bedroom is redone. And we have a bar in our house that was redone completely. Laundry room was redone completely. So none of our like cabinetry stayed, which means we had to actually pack up everything that was in every cabinet.
Wow.
So a lot of times, yeah, if you're just doing paint or just the windows and doors. You can leave things in cabinet closets and just kind of like tape them closed. We could not do that. So every single thing we own is in storage right now.
Oh my gosh, that is crazy. How long did that process take you?
I'm very blessed to have a really organized assistant who is a naturally organized person, but we also have a lot of stuff. This house we moved out of 10,000 square feet. It's a significant amount of stuff. But it probably, we knew this was happening. So we started really early, and, that's one of the tips we're going to give you guys today, but we did start really early, boxing up anything that we don't use on a daily basis. And getting things moved out that we were worried. We had to have two separate companies come in, a regular moving company to move furniture and wardrobe boxes and things like that. And then we also had to have a specialty moving company who handles art and antiques, because we're collectors. So we have a lot and priceless pieces that had to be crated on site and then moved. And so it was not a great time, but we got through it. And you know, we've been happy here, and hopefully, but we are very much looking forward to going back to our home.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah.
Are you, what sparked this renovation idea?
We wanted to re-ring since we bought the home in 2017, and it just was kind of time to do it. We found a flooring stone that we wanted. It was an architectural salvage from a company that found it enough flooring for us to do the area of the house we wanted to do in stone. They found that limestone in France. And so there was like a one opportunity, that particular stone. So once we decided we were going to do the flooring, we thought, you know, this is the time to do the kitchen, because this flooring goes to the kitchen. And then it just kind of went from there. Well, we're doing this, we might as well do the doors and windows. We know we want to do it eventually.
No, yeah, might as well. When you're doing one thing, you might as well do it all, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well,
exactly.
Great. Well, I'm sure you have plenty of tips, because you're also moving your daughter, and this isn't the first time you've moved your daughter across the country. So that is a whole nother. That's crazy. You've done a lot of different moving related things that are.
I sure have. Yeah.
Very niche.
Yeah. Very much so. So, I mean, well, let's start giving our tips. I'm sure have a ton. That my first step, whenever I know a move is coming up, my first step at the earliest, it could be 6 months ahead of a move. It doesn't matter. I start purging. I purge anyway, because we have a lot of space in our house, and it's just, you know, my partner and I noticed is that you expand to take up the space that you have. So if we lived in a, you know, smaller, like 2-bedroom condo, inch of that. But since we live in a larger multi-story house, we've expanded to take up every inch of that. And it gets ridiculous. So on a regular basis, I clean out my closet. I prompt, you know, my partner to clean out his closet if he's cooperative with that. I clean out, you know, weekly, I clean out like perishables and stuff like that. But I also go through every so often and get rid of like pots and pans that are scratched or burnt, or just the handles are not working anymore, or like everything in the kitchen. I go through, I want to say at least like once a year, because I think all of us have like the spatula with the melted part in the middle, and like the, you know, the handle of something is never, even though you tighten it, you have to tighten it every time you use it. It's just never right. I do go through all of our stuff on a regular basis. Every holiday season, when we pull all the we have a Christmas cabinet, and we also have a Halloween cabinet. I go through them and, you know, try to weed out anything that needs repair. If I want to keep it, I'll repair it. If I know I'm never going to use it again, like this year, because this was the first Christmas that we spent in the beachfront house, all of our Christmas decorations were beach theme. So, I mean, those are not things we would use again, maybe if we're not here for the holiday. They wouldn't look right in our regular home because it's like different style, you know? Those are all things that could be donated or sold, or so I make Go ahead. Was that you?
No, I'll take him. Oh my gosh. Like I have been dying to get like a beach theme tree forever. So I will take, anyway, that's for another time of subject. I will take your things.
I have a whole set of beautiful Pottery Barn, like glass ornaments, all beach theme.
Yay. Don't even have to worry about figuring that out. We figured it out.
There you go. And I make multiple piles. So I donate everything that I can that is in, decent working condition. And I think someone can get use out of it. I make a separate pile for things, that are higher value or I think would be to sell. And then I make a pile of stuff that is just, not usable, tossed out, or, sometimes there's stuff that just needs to be repaired. And so I try to go through that regularly because I've seen people who, well, for instance, when my grandmother passed, we had to clean out her house where she'd lived for 50 years. And I could not believe the stuff that was put in. I mean, every attic was just full of just stuff, Yeah.
I mean, it's proven that when you have a lot of stuff, you don't really use it, like that's why they tell it as parents, we're supposed to go through the kids' toys, and too many toys is too many options. And then they end up, not playing with anything. And so I love that I tried the Marie Kondo method, where it's like and there's just something really nice about going through and using just the bare minimum. I mean, I lived in my in-laws' house for 2 years, and we had one room for the girls to share and one room for my husband and I. And then everything else was in like their attic or in storage and like another storage space. So I got used to having the bare minimum. And then when we moved out and moved here, our space was even, I feel, smaller. So, I've gotten kind of like really okay and fine with just having very minimalistic lifestyle. Because I've noticed that when I keep the shirt that I think I'm going to wear, but it's like got a hole in it or something, like I'm always passing it when I'm looking for something to wear during the day. So it's like, when was the last time I've worn it? And there's definitely, if, this is kind of on topic with the move and this is part of it. There's definitely like things out there and resources where if you're like, oh, I want to do this, but I don't know where to begin. There's really cool, simple methods. Like, for example, like if you haven't worn it in over a year, you should get rid of it, or if like, there's rules you can follow where if you're like, I just don't know how to get rid of something, because some people are very much like attached to things. If you're honest with yourself, like you're probably never going to wear that shirt again. Why are you holding on to it? Why wait until you have no room in your drawer to go buy another drawer set? It's just, I think it's definitely something that, especially if you're moving, do you really want to pack all of that up too?
That's exactly the thing. When you're moving, you have to ask yourself, especially if you're paying for movers or you're shipping cross country, you have to ask, it will cost me to ship it. And that's a really good way of weeding things out, because I am just as guilty of this as everyone else, probably more so because I have more space. Every time I have something, I'm like, I might use that again. I'll just put it in this cabinet, or, maybe I'll wear it. In the back of my head, if I'm being honest with myself, I'm not going to wear it. So when I clean out my closet, which I do annually, if not more often, I go through I take everything out. I go through my whole closet. If it's not a dress, like an evening dress, I have to be able to wear it at least 3 ways. If I can't find 3 things in my closet to pair it with, I'll never wear it. And I also make a pile of stuff that I don't wear just because maybe it doesn't fit me properly, or maybe it, it's a little bit sheer, or it needs a liner.
We all have those clothes that we're like, we love the sparkle, but it doesn't look good on us, but we convinced ourselves to buy it. It's like, it's been sitting in your closet for 3 years, or proper undergarments. That's a big one. There's a lot of reasons that we avoid it.
So what I'll do is make a big pile of stuff to take to the tailor. And I'll just spend an afternoon at the tailor, trying things on and having them tell me this can be fixed and it will look nicer when it's fitted to you, because I have the type of body shape where things have to be taken in at the waist. I'm curvier on top and bottom and smaller waisted. So things have to be taken in. And if I buy something and then I think, I'll take it in, sometimes it takes me forever to do it. And then sometimes something doesn't fit right. And it's not even worth the cost of what it would cost me to tailor it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why did I buy that? If you don't like it in the dressing room, you won't like it at home.
Yeah, it's the prettiest it's ever been when it's in the dressing room. It's only downhill from there when so if you don't like it or love it, the dressing room, you're going to have that remorse, or it's just going to sit there, and you don't want to wait until the event comes to have it tailored. Then you need to have it tailored beforehand. You'll never wear it. Honestly, there's a lot of things that would look good if you just adjust it, but you got to keep that in mind when you're buying it, that you're adding an errand onto the purchase.
Yeah. And then don't convince yourself that you're going to do it if you know you're going to do it.
Exactly.
So when I put things back in my closet, I hang them up backwards, like with the hanger on the back side of the rod. And then as I wear them over the year, I hang it back the right way. So at the end of the year, when I look, I can see immediately what I didn't touch in the last year. And then I ask myself again, like, why? Why did you not wear this? Is it ill-fitting? Is it itchy? Is it, some things I have like buyer's remorse because I spent a lot of money on something and it's itchy, or I bought it online and it didn't look the way I thought it would, but I couldn't return it and I'm like stuck with it. So those kinds of, I will send things to
things that are trendy. I know that, if things that are super trendy that are no longer trendy, you should just go through it. Because we do buy things that are on trend that might not be on trend now that we keep. Don't keep it until it becomes trendy again. My goodness, just get rid of it now. Like, yeah, it'll come around, but like what's cool now hasn't been cool since I was literally in middle school. So take it from me. Don't keep it for 20 years before you get rid of it. Like, just get rid of it, unless it's a classic staple piece you need,
exactly.
Carry you from season to season. That's fits you well. Or, maybe you have some real sentimental value to it. A couple of pieces are my mom's pieces. And so I keep them in my closet. Will I ever wear them? Maybe, maybe not. But like, if that was 70% of my wardrobe, then that would be a problem. Moderation is fine. If there's some sentimental pieces, some weird Christmas sweaters, that's fine. But like, you can find ways to store those things so they're not in the forefront of your closet, so they're not taking space, because honestly, you're not going to need that Halloween sweater for another 11, 10, 9 months, whatever, so it shouldn't be in your closet. There's ways to store things. So when you're moving, you don't have to make that do or die decision,
I have all of our like holiday Christmas sweaters, Christmas pajamas, things like that are stored with our Christmas decoration.
Same. Yeah.
And I have a lot of like Halloween costume pieces and Halloween theme stuff. They're stored with their Halloween decoration.
Same. And I get so excited when I open it up. So like, sweaters, because I think it's just lights. But yeah, why would you need to keep it in your closet? Like, when are you going to need an ugly Christmas sweater in May?
I have an elf t-shirt that I love. Will not wear it outside of Christmas season. So why does it need to be in my t-shirt drawer? It doesn't.
It doesn't. So good tip.
I also like, if I find that I reach for the same few things in my closet with frequency, and I'm not talking about like your comfy, cozy loungewear. I'm talking about when you're going out, you always reach for the same few pieces. Then I ask myself that question too, like, why is that such a staple piece for me? And it's usually that it's really well constructed. It fits me and is really flattering on me. And I realize that those kinds of investment pieces are, if you divide them by cost per wear, they're such a better value than if I'm constantly looking. If I'm looking for a black blazer, I might buy 5 of them before I find the one that's it, instead of just spending the same amount of money buying a really well-made black blazer, knowing that I'm going to reach for it over and over again, instead of trying to find a bargain.
And if you're like, well, what are the classic staple pieces? There's a TikTok for that, I'm sure.
Yeah, we've done articles on it.
We've done articles on it and there's a list of 10 to 20 staple pieces that range from the top of your head to the bottom of your feet that can carry you from season to season, from, that are timeless, that depending if you're 20 or 40 or 50 or 60, it just works. So, anything else is negotiable when it comes to staying in your closet. Those pieces can take room, can take space, can take the tailoring money, can take your wallet a little bit. Rather than buying like 15 boots, why don't you just buy one pair of really good timeless boots? You know what I mean? That's what you're saying.
Exactly.
It'll save space in your closet and it'll save you time and energy.
Well, and when I've invested in a good pair of nice, well-made boots, I don't mind spending money to resole them when I've worn them so many times because I know that's an investment. I'll wear those boots forever. So I'm fine maintaining them and having them cleaned and having them, put new heels on them whenever they need them. Rather than replacing, because it does, if you think about how many of the same type of thing you've bought over and over again, when you could have bought one really weller, that's not a word, better made one and been done with it and had less in your closet, but have everything be kind of like impeccable to your body. And
we're not saying the highest quality, like some things that are timeless, in my opinion, like are a good pair of like sneakers or like, they're not that expensive. You know what I mean?
My two staple I have a pair of black trousers and a pair of white trousers, and I pair them with everything. I wear them all the time. They're from Amazon, but they're literally, they just fit me perfectly and they look nice and they're like anti-wrinkle so it doesn't have, I'm not saying it has to be designer. I'm just saying,
I'm it has to be made well quality. I'm not hating on any company, but the boots that I get from Forever 21 are not going to last me for like 12 years.
Right. That's exactly what I meant by the black blazer situation. If you're trying to buy from like H&M and Forever 21, Zara, the fast fashion, it's just harder to make it look good on your body and it's harder to make it last. So anyway, that's a whole closet thing.
Yep. Anyway, but it does make sense to go through your closet before you move, because if you're doing it as you're moving, first of all, it's like, in case you don't know, moving's exhausting. So why are you adding more work to the mess? Like you can go through as you go and it'll just be like, you'll know, like you can do it as you go. It's okay too. But to me, I did that as I went through the toys and went through the clothes and was trying to decide what I was going to take. And like, that just added more time to packing. But
my issue is that I will get frustrated and run out of time and end up just throwing everything in. And then what happens is I'm having to move and unpack literal garbage that I don't want anymore, and then have to make the piles in my new space.
I'm telling you, it's true. I'm going through my stuff now and I'm like, there's little like a plastic bag with like one golf tee in it. And I'm like, why did I do this to myself? Because at the time I was tired and I didn't want to deal with that. You know what I mean?
I found those
future plug-in, deal with it.
I found those plug-in scent things wrapped in packing paper and packed. And I was like, they are $2. Throw it away.
See,
what's wrong with you?
Girl, I am frugal AF. That will totally be me. And it won't be like bubble wrap. It'll be like newspaper. It'll be, you know what? Because like that adds up. Okay. Who wants to like, and I'm spending dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens of dollars on moving boxes that I'm going to use one time and then get rid of. Like, that's the other thing. When you move, try and donate those somehow. There's like places you can go where you can save free boxes, because those things are so expensive.
The free boxes
made me decide what I was taking.
Yeah, exactly. The free boxes on Craigslist or Nextdoor are always a hit, and people will come pick them up from your porch. People are so thankful for that. Don't trash them. No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
So I do want to talk about packing. There's a school of thought that says you should start packing as soon as you know that a move is coming, so that you can pack little by little over time. I have done that. I did that this time. I very much would say that that's a great idea if you have the space to separate that. If you have a smaller space, just marathon pack. Because for me, living in a smaller space with boxes piled up to the ceiling gives me really bad anxiety. It makes me feel like, oh my God, I can't find anything and this place is a mess.
There's no escape from the process.
Yeah. When we moved to this last time, we took the game room, which no one really ever uses it. And we used it as a moving staging area. So we packed in there and we piled the boxes in that one room of things that we weren't going to use immediately. And the rest of the house looked normal.
We did that with my in-laws' house too, in a room, and started early, but it was separated where you can close the doors like you can and not see it and separate the two lives, because
right. But like my daughter right now is in a smaller space and she's trying to pack, and they're not moving till the end of the month, but she's trying to pack little by little. And what she's finding is that it's causing her more anxiety. And
because you want to keep going.
Every time she sees the boxes, she thinks she should be doing something for the move and she's not doing it. So, I mean, like literally she'll start crying because she sees a pile of boxes and she feels like she needs to cross something off her list.
It's the physicality of the thought that won't go away anyway. Because it's not like not packing will not make you think about not packing or packing, but like when you physically see the box and it's that physical reminder of like of the thought you already know, like can't escape, you know.
The temptation also is to like keep packing, and then you start cutting in on the stuff that you do use, and you think, oh no, I won't make waffles in the next 3 weeks, and then what? Sure enough, that there's a waffles emergency, and you're like, which box is the waffle iron in? You don't do that.
It's true. You know what? And I only packed because my kids have way too many toys, like most kids do, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And they would complain like, oh, I don't know where blah, blah, blah toy is. I'm like, well, too flipping bad because you have this many toys to play with. It was never like, oh shoot, we packed all our dishes up, like we were so lucky to have a whole other life going on in the place that we were living to where we could pack up all our dishes and there would still be their dishes there to use. So it was a very easy transition, but it did very much like take up I also didn't have anything else much going on. I did have some work, but the kids, but I was like, there was always that thought of like, I could keep going. And then I started to get into like the toiletries area and I was like, oh shoot, like I'm packing up the shampoo. So yeah, it is very tempting, even when you can't see the boxes, to just keep going. But if you do live in a situation where you have a lot of stuff and there are things that honestly you're not going to need for that however long period, you could start if there's an area you can separate.
Yeah, if you can separate it, then like if you're moving in the summer, pack all your winter coats and boots and snow gear and all of that. Pack Christmas decorations, pack like the, stuff you use for like winter cooking, like soup stuff. And I don't know, like whatever is off season for you.
Like, do you need 20 mugs or can you roll with like 10 for the next 2 weeks?
Right.
Like maybe condense down your dishes rather than have all of them out, still have some to use, but not all of them. That helps us.
Be aware that if that's the path you choose, which is totally fine, you will have your stuff separated out. So you will not have one box of kitchen mugs. You will have a box of kitchen mugs plus,
another
gloves.
rando box of kitchen. It just says kitchen stuff.
Yeah. So, I mean, my preference when I'm moving is to have I like things that are used in the same place to stay together. So I moved this time and everything from the kitchen was all packed at once. And then everything I had the ability to do that. That's not feasible for everybody. So just understand
some of our tips might be for the like no one other than us and like 4 other people, but that's okay. Because you know what, it really helped because everyone, when they're moving, some people know when they're moving, some people have a really far date. Some people it's like, it's so the anxiety of it is so crazy that you don't feel like you're ever doing it right.
No, if you know you're moving and you know what date you're moving, then I would tell you best thing to do. And I know it feels like I need to start packing. The best thing to do that you can do early is get your utilities scheduled for your new place. Most people underestimate the amount of time that can take. And so schedule that and book your move early, like book, if you're using a moving van or a moving company or a U-Haul, whatever you're using, book it early because you'll have the best selection of stuff. I've been stuck with a truck that was too small and had to make multiple trips. Yeah. And I've been stuck with a truck that was too big and I paid more than I needed to and had half empty truck.
You underestimate, like when we wanted to move, it was like the van we wanted was like 8 weeks after that, like because people will take a van to another state and they'll park it there and not take it back to where it originated from. So you're left with whatever they have on the lot. It's not anything you want, sir. It's like, no, it's whatever is available in the lot, so we needed a much bigger van and we got a much smaller van and we still I still have my belongings up at my in-laws house and like, I'm still going to have to make months of trips because like, I didn't have the right van and we very much underestimated the time frame that it would take to book it. We thought we could just call like the day before or something. It was a show. So yes, all the yeses to this. It's a nightmare.
If you call and book early, if you're using a do-it-yourself like U-Haul or budget truck rental type of van, You can get the size that you need, maybe even get slightly larger than you think you're going to need, and get a truck with a loading ramp. They don't all have loading ramps.
No.
So that is very important. They can also, if you book it early, they can give you moving blankets. They can give you a dolly. They can give you things that they might not have if you show up day of and be like, I need a truck. And so the more tools that you can have, the better and easier time it will be. If you're booking with movers, book early so that you have the amount of people that you need there and the size of truck that you need there, and there's no hiccups. So you want to know. And they'll also be able to provide like wardrobe boxes and things that are harder for you to find, harder for you to put in your car and bring home. I mean, wardrobe boxes have to be assembled and they have like a hanging bar. They're not the easiest thing in the world. So if you're using movers,
it's like boom, 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 boom. I love a wardrobe box. It's worth the money. I love them. I think you got me onto those because they
so
are
much
easy
easier
to assemble, but honestly, like they're not that bad. And you can just, especially with dresses and nice evening gowns, like you can't just roll that up and throw that in a box. You got to keep it nice.
No. And I will say this, wardrobe boxes have the added benefit of being so tall. So you can hang all your clothes on the rack, and I always throw my shoes in the bottom. Yep. I throw the bottom full of like boots and sneakers,
blankets, stuffed animals. Yeah. Don't leave that empty. Don't leave that hanging for the stuff. No, I still have a wardrobe box just full of stuffed animals at my in-laws' house because that wasn't a necessity when we moved. I was like, those stay up here until we figure it out.
But when you use movers and they bring wardrobe boxes, you're not purchasing the wardrobe boxes from them. They actually let you use them the day of the move. It's a very small fee. So you have to unpack them right away while the movers are there. But it's so worth it.
Open it up, you take the clothes out, and then you can just dump the stuff onto the floor and put it away. They're very
yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I like it.
So as far as packing goes, I think everybody kind of has their own system. I will say, if you can afford to do it, get the right equipment, get the right size boxes that you need. Don't go scouting behind the grocery store or whatever. I've done it. I've had to do it.
Don't call me out, man.
I've had to do that for multiple moves. Yes. But if you have the funds, get the right size boxes that you need, and the specialty boxes like for TVs and computer equipment.
For the big things like those, don't try and hodgepodge that together.
Yeah. Or they have a store like Bevmo has those wine boxes, which is great if you're moving wine or wine glasses or cylindrical tall things like that. Amazing. You can also buy those, but usually you can find them at like liquor stores and places like that. Get the tape dispenser with the big handle, life-changing. I cannot tell you how frustrating it is when you're packing 35 boxes in one day and you have the roll without the dispenser and you're trying to pull it, find out where the end of it is.
I don't even know that life. I would never sign on to that life ever. I only know the big macho gun with no.
Get the packing tissue, the packing paper.
Okay.
So you can wrap everything, or, newspapers or whatever.
Here's where we go off. Here's the other thing. And this might be frugal. This might be not for everyone, but I think that a good clean t-shirt can wrap a dish just as easily and save space for another box that are just shirts. I know that's crazy. Shirts don't go in the kitchen. That goes against what you do. But I'm just saying, like, I started to know that, like,
I can see how that would work.
If you're on a budget, and because that's the other thing. If you're also on a budget, getting like wrapping, there's over at Lowe's, it's not that much. Like at like a home improvement store, they sell wrapping paper, and it's not that much. You can get a lot for not that much. But I also know if you're just like on a pinch and you need some and you can't go to a place like that, like gift tissue is also really good. Newspaper is really good, but like your t-shirts are also really good. If you're just in a pinch and you have like 3 more dishes left, you just use a t-shirt or 2 and it gives that cushion. Don't bubble wrap the things that are obviously priceless and valuable. Don't take a t-shirt to like grandma's like really nice
urn.
Urn. So but I mean, like if you're on, some people are really on a budget, or or maybe like for a while, because there were a lot of people moving at the same time, a lot of places are out of certain moving supplies. You can get creative with the things you already have that you need to move anyway, is what I'm
and we mentioned it, but the free moving boxes from Craigslist or Nextdoor, I mean, do that with your moving boxes, but also do that as a great resource, because you can get a ton of boxes really cheap.
Yeah. Because tape is inevitable. Like tissue is inevitable. So like if you can save on boxes, because brand new boxes, even at like home improvement, like Lowe's, I would get mine there because they have like extra small,
yeah, they're the
extra
best
large.
Price.
They're the best price.
Home Depot and Lowe's are the best price for moving
supplies. After a while, if you're moving, especially a lot of things, like that can add up. So you can mix in a little bit of like free Craigslist with some paid for brand new, because sometimes you get them and they're like, is that a box, or is that like, that's been abused? Like, how do I even use this as a box? Sometimes you need a sturdy brand new box. Like go to like a Lowe's. Like that's where I got all mine, and they weren't that bad.
No. And if you have a good relationship with your neighbors, ask for, most people get Amazon boxes like every day. Ask them for their Amazon boxes, because they come with packing paper. They're pretty sturdy. And they come in all different sizes. Like even the really little narrow ones are great for small, like short items, pantry staples and things like that. I love those like low, they're like, I don't know, 5 inches tall Amazon boxes, because they're great for canned goods. They get too heavy if you stack any higher than that.
Yeah, so, they come in odd sizes.
Yeah, and they're great.
It's kind of like, I don't know if it's, well, they're free. It's not stealing, but I like to go to the post office and get like the priority boxes. And if you have papers, like, how sometimes people have like loose papers or things that aren't filed away, you can use those for like, cause it's skinny, but it's tall and it's shaped like a perfect box or whatever.
Yeah.
Free boxes. So I was like, you can't fit like more than 3 t-shirts in it. It's not going to get you long-term very far, but if you have some papers or some jewelry or things that are small that you can pack up, those priority boxes are also great,
Yeah. I will say that, having the right kind of tape and taping your moving boxes properly is a huge thing. Because if you don't, I tape in like an X shape or a T shape on the bottom of the moving boxes, because if you are packing heavy, like they say, pack heavier things on the bottom of the box, lighter things on the top of the box. But if you have any weight to those boxes and you just do the one strip of tape across the bottom, you are asking for trouble.
Oh, man.
So definitely reinforce your boxes. You need the right equipment. You need, sturdy boxes, good tape. Like I said, with our move, if you have pieces that you are really nervous about something happening to, they're very priceless to you. It could be priceless cost-wise or priceless sentimental-wise. Consider the extra cost of crating them. If you have some kind of family heirloom or something, if it's a small item, I have literally moved and carried something on my lap for the move.
That's where my car, my little Civic, is meant for the things that make no sense to anyone else. But if they left this planet, I would die as a person. That's fine. And that's where it goes in my car, because I know that my car is going to get from point A to point B with all these things in it, and no one's going to mess with it, or it's not going to get broken. Yeah, that's typically how I start. And then my car just ends up being whatever could fit in the moving truck too.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
Shoving it in there. Oh, no, I never want to move again. I know I will, but it sucks. I hate it. Sorry to anyone who is like literally taking notes as they're hearing this or watching this, because that means this applies to you. Sucks.
Well, there's something that I do for traveling, and I also do it for moving. I have, like, every time we take a trip, even if it's just a weekend trip, I have a file folder with our stuff in it.
I was going to say, you're going to say the file folder, because I remember Mexico. And it's so helpful. Oh my gosh. It's so helpful because you got a lot going on.
I think we've talked about this maybe on another episode, but I had experience where I was in the restroom in an airport and my phone fell in the toilet, and all of our reservations were digital on my phone, only on my phone.
This had to have been a story I've heard before, because I was just so not surprised, because I'd known you long enough at that point to know your style, but I was so just impressed by how thorough this file for Mexico was. And I think you explained this to me then, and I think I had the same reaction of like, 1, of course, it was what happened to you, and 2, holy crap, because So what did you? So Abby, did it work? I mean, life works itself out.
We got through it, but it was
such a nightmare that you're like, I'm going to have a physical written document, a file for everything, because F the digital world is.
Yeah. And I also, I hate if your driver, ride, hotel, shuttle doesn't show up, if you get there and the airline's like, we don't have a reservation for you.
Oh yeah, it always happens.
In that moment of pressure and stress, trying to find the email confirmation on your phone and make sure you have a signal. Sometimes in other countries, you don't right away. You have to restart your phone, and then you're trying to find your email, look for that exact email confirmation, find the number, find the phone number to call to argue with them about it or whatever. It's so stressful to me
while people are like behind you going, what the hell, lady? It was taking
and the
so
lady's
long.
like, if you could step to the side, and I'm like, oh my God.
And then you have to like ask permission to go back into the line. It's such a I hate it.
I hate it.
Disneyland has on your phone is your ticket. They don't have physical tickets anymore. And so I have to take like a screenshot of my pass and a screenshot of my confirmation of my reservation when I go, because this has happened before where no service and there's no reservation and I need like a paper trail. I'm like, heaven forbid my phone falls in the toilet on the way to Disneyland, I'd be screwed. So I feel you. Why are we this way as people? I don't know, because this doesn't work out for anyone, because everyone has to be stepped to the side at some point. So
I do the exact same thing when it's a moving day, because first of all, I'm not going to have my computer. I'm not going to have chargers. Everything is packed, right? Assuming everything is packed. I want to have the new address, the rental or HOA documents or whatever documents I'm going to need. I want to have the mover's information, like a printout of our email correspondence and confirmation. I want to have any kind of contract I signed for a U-Haul or
you're like, life's not messing with me. I got a paper for every possible thing. I have a paper trail
for everything. Yeah. And then, I went way above and beyond that. This move was really a complicated one. So my sister and I started an Excel spreadsheet, a Google sheet spreadsheet, where we put, we numbered the boxes rather than writing on the boxes what they were. All we wrote was the room they belong in and the number. So a box would say like kitchen number 27. And then the spreadsheet would say box 27, kitchen, and then everything that was in it. So, and it's searchable. So it's really easy if I'm looking for which box.
Just because this is so intriguing to me, is this a colliding of really amazing type A brains, or was this somebody's idea on one end and the other person was like, yes, let's do this? Like, how did you think of this? Where did you hear about how to categorize it like this? Because it seems so flawless that somebody had to have thought of it.
We keep a household inventory list that's already running, because we have more than one home, right? Mm-hmm. So sometimes my partner will come and say, where is that, champagne bucket that so-and-so gave us as a gift Christmas 2016? And I'm like,
okay. So
I know.
You know what? I was in charge for a hot minute. It wasn't all of his things, but I wasn't in charge
you did an inventory
of categorizing list. Inventory. Yes. And I get it. You have to have a system at some point. Yeah. So you reference this Rolodex and you like champagne, blah, blah, blah. And you find where it is and which house it is and like how to find, is this.
This is why we did it this way, because we already had that. So that was how our mind was working. And then we thought, you know what, we couldn't fit everything we own in a storage unit. We have like 10 storage units right now. So if we needed something in the time that we were out of the house, I needed to know which storage unit was in.
How would you know where
if I was like, oh my gosh, I need this particular thing.
Opening up bins after bins, tin, like storage wide. No.
And we also had like the company that created our art, like created it numbers, like crate 1, crate 2, crate 3. And they gave us like an inventory of what was in each crate. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to know, some of that stuff was for like a new construction project we're working on. And some of it was art for the house. So I needed to keep it all straight. This was the best way to do it. And it was a shareable document.
It's brilliant.
And also when we're moving back into the house, we can move it in the order that we need it, rather than maybe trying to do it all in one day. So if the kitchen is done first, because we are getting a new kitchen,
really
maybe we
move
all the kitchen stuff in and we set the kitchen up. And then maybe, my closet is done next. So we do that. And we move in at the end when it's all done. I don't know exactly how it's going to work yet.
When you go to your new space, you get so excited to like nest and unpack that it's like you do a little bit of here and a little bit of there, that it's almost like you don't feel like you did anything at all because you didn't complete any space. I know that this is a moving tip, and we've been talking about it for nearly an hour. I don't want to keep rolling on. We can go on and on, but moving in is also a whole nother thing. We got tips we can share, and that too, was because
what you just said is my number one tip for moving in anywhere.
That's big time. You're like, finish one space.
Get it completely finished to the eye. I mean, it doesn't have, like, every cabinet doesn't have to be done, but finish one room where when your brain is about to explode from stress and anxiety, you can sit in that room and it looks finished and you can relax. And you can like breathe. If you surround yourself with boxes in every single room, you're going to lose your mind. And for me, when my kids were still living at home, I would finish one room first, and it would be their playroom or their bedroom, so that they had a safe space that they could go and feel comfortable. Because when your kids are frazzled and stressed out, how can you relax?
Of course not. For me, when we've moved in, there's just been so much, and that's maybe another tip. When you move, depending on like, know that it's going to be a very long day. So if you have, especially if you have kids, I know that we've winged it every time, and the move was 2 to 4 hours longer than we were anticipating. And by the end of the day, it was, 2 hours past dinner time, like the beds hadn't even been put, sheets hadn't been put on. That were at that point, it was like, find the sheets, put the sheets on, and get pizza, and, find the plates. So it's like, also think about the fact that when you move in, you're going to be physically and emotionally spent. And the last thing you're going to want to do is try and remember where you put the sheets or this and that. So if you can't do one complete room, at least make that first night a peaceful one for yourself.
Yeah, that's one thing I want to point out. That's another big one is you need to there are certain things that you personally need to have with you on your person and carry yourself. And that those things are going to be any copies of any prescriptions or medication that you need to take on a day-to-day basis. That should be in your personal bag that is in your car, not in the moving truck. Any kind of equipment or medical stuff that you need on a day-to-day basis, even if it's like on an emergency basis, like EpiPens and asthma inhalers, do not make yourself look for that in an emergency. Have it on you, because that will be the time that you need it, because the universe is hilarious. Also, if your kid has like a wubby, a blankie, a lovey, whatever, that goes in your car, in your purse, in your bag. The sheets
are a great one. To put that in my car, but you know what, we were like, just find blankets, like, I don't know, just like park somewhere and sleep,
Yeah, I mean, that first night as a family, you might be co-sleeping in one bed, and that's totally fine. Bring the sheets for that big bed, or whatever. If you're going to make like a bed on the floor, whatever you're doing, just plan for it.
Anticipate it, because like the last thing you're going to want to do is figure it out. You're probably not going to have internet. You're probably not going to you're not going to have the TV hooked up. It's going to be kind of a weird, funky night. So just anticipate either takeout. You're not going to be able to cook, because all your stuff's not put away, or, I mean, maybe you're lucky and maybe you started packing and moving like really early in the morning, and you have all afternoon and you have like 6 to 8 hours. Prioritize your time and don't try and like overwhelm yourself with things that don't matter. Just worry about getting you and your family comfortable that first night. Don't try and like, I'm going to do the whole kitchen tonight. Okay.
No.
But like, you've disregarded the fact that your kids have no sheets on their bed, just do what you need to do to get cozied in. You know?
Normal rules go out the window when you're moving. So if normally you don't really feed your kids fast food or takeout food, that tonight is a different night.
It's already weird for them. They're going to love it.
If you normally have like really monitored screen time, this is the time when you're in your old house and the internet is still working and everything, you download a couple movies on your iPad, and that's going to be the special reward for that night. That's going to keep them occupied.
Or, if that's not a possibility, you can go and get some coloring books or something. Like, just anticipate some entertainment that you're going to need to figure out, because even if you tell them, I've tried it, even if you tell them, hey kids, I'm exhausted, I just moved our whole house all day, I don't have time for this right now, they're just going to look at you and go, yeah, okay, cool, but I'm bored. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, they don't care as much as they love you. They do not care about
No,
your
they're not
adult
worried
problems.
about our mental health.
They just want to know when the Wi-Fi. It's so, oh my
Yeah.
gosh, the
If
Wi-Fi. The first night with the Wi-Fi, I'm like, dude, like so figure it out, because they're just gonna want the Wi-Fi back on.
And remember, I did say hook up your utilities early, first thing.
Yeah, if you can, that's great. But I mean, like,
Yeah,
I didn't, and they were so angry that first night. I'm like, listen, guys, yeah, they
if
don't care.
you have pets, your leashes, your food bowls,
Yeah,
your
the
at least a
food.
Ziploc bag of food to get them for dinner that night, breakfast the next morning goes with you. If you have a cat, the litter box and the litter goes with you. Because that will be the one thing that gets lost, and you will be at Walmart with very tired and angry children at
or you're just
midnight.
you're trying to figure out which box, because here's a moving van is by like you use it or rent it by a day or hour, and so you're just piling boxes in your house most of the time. Maybe it's in the kitchen, but like which one, so those are really good tips, because you're so tired.
There are some things that are my travel tips, which also apply to moving. So like everyone in the house needs an extra, if not a full outfit, at least a shirt, always with you on your person in your car, because that will be the day that someone throws up all over themselves and you don't know where their clothes are. And don't do it to yourself, because you'll be the one that gets thrown up on, and then you'll be wearing the throw up shirt, as I did on a long haul flight.
Yeah, that's always my thing with like jackets. I never realized that they need jackets until they need a jacket. I'm like, well, here's my jacket.
Yeah.
I guess, because she'll be the one without a jacket or wearing the throw up shirt. Just bring extra.
And always, like I said, the medicine, when I travel, the medicine is in my carry-on bag or my purse. It is never, ever checked. Because I have had to go internationally where the medicine names are different and tried to translate what I'm looking for because it was lost.
What a nightmare.
Yeah.
There's
and
something
also
that's like a nightmare that has not happened to you, honestly. I'm just like,
I'm sure.
Dude.
Stay tuned.
All of these things would just make my heart stop at that place. And then you're just like, well, what else, world? Bring it on. You're like, I'm just amazed by the things you have to be put through and how resilient you are.
When we used to travel with the kids when they were little, and I would do the same thing when we moved, I would, a few days before, I would go someplace like Dollar Tree or 99-cent store, and I would buy them a bunch of cheapy little toys and snacks.
Yep.
And each kid would get their bag with their cheapy toys and snacks that they could not open until we were on the plane, or maybe in like the moving truck or at the new house. And that would keep them busy because they were things they hadn't had before, novelty stuff. And that bought me a little bit of time. So,
and you look like a superhero. Yeah. Like just plan again with all of our podcasts. I think it's just like the theme is plan ahead. Because like if you plan ahead, if you know you're moving, you can totally make time to go from now to 3 to 6 weeks, months, whatever from now, to go to the Dollar Tree for one day and just anticipate that. Kind of like a really long car ride,
what could go wrong, what has gone wrong in the past, like ever in any circumstance, and what would be the worst thing for me to go wrong when I'm frazzled, on my last nerve, tired, hungry, and like all of the bad things. And then try to plan ahead. It's always easier to solve problems on the front end than on the back end when you're worn out and have very little resources.
Yeah.
So I would definitely.
Sometimes you're moving to a new city and you don't know what's around you. Why do you want to wait till that time to figure out what you're going to feed the kids for dinner? Like plan it out ahead of time. See what's around the area. If you're going to order takeout, plan what you're going to order so that you can order it on the way and when you're in the van or something like that. I just like, it's kind of like when you're going to a new, like on a vacation far away, you don't just wing it. You like kind of plan ahead of time. You don't just wake up that morning and pack for the trip. You see the weather, what's around the town, what to do. Like treat that like with moving. Cause like, man, like you think those things won't happen to you, but like, why wouldn't, I don't want to be mean about it, but like, why wouldn't they happen to you? Like, we're all really lucky as people, but like, the world could literally throw you the biggest middle finger on the worst day possible. What I
have found in my almost 46 years of life is that when I am least tolerant is when the universe tests me. So when I am on, a long flight and I'm already anxious about how my kids are going to behave and what the people sitting around them are going to think. And are they going to argue? And are they going to be loud? And is the baby ever going to stop crying? That will be the time where something crazy happens.
And
Like,
that's somebody out there will be like, well, you're putting that energy into the world. You know what I mean? Because it's like, no, like that's the time my kids decide to be little devils. I don't understand. It's like, this is showtime, guys. They're fine all the other times. But because I thought of it, it's happening. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I had a move. I don't know if you were with me. I'm not sure if it was you. I had a move where the morning of the move, my youngest child, who was probably 4, maybe 5, I think she was 5 because I think she was supposed to be going to school that day, woke up very, very sick, high fever, lethargic, the kind of sick where if I hadn't been moving that day and had movers showing up in an hour, I would have stayed in bed with her and made her soup and ginger ale, and it would have been a lovely little resting day. She was not well, and I had movers showing up ready to dismantle our whole house. So I literally,
my gosh,
I made her a nest on the kitchen floor, which was the only area that didn't have furniture that needed to be moved.
Oh.
On the kitchen floor, I made her a little nest of blankies, and she laid there, feverish and sleepy for the whole day.
Gosh.
And it was it was something I never would have anticipated. I assumed the kids were all going to be in school and I was going to get the move done, and the afternoon might be hectic, but I could get so much done before they got out of school. No. The universe said, really hold my beer. And my youngest, most needy child came down with sick, very, very sick.
Like Emma was like feverishly ill on her very first Christmas. She had like 104 fever on Christmas morning. And it was like still Christmas. Like you can't be like, oh, Christmas, Can Christmas be tomorrow? Because my kid's super sick. It's like, I still kind of went over to my dad's and you try to make it normal, right? You went about your normal moving day, but there's also this crisis on the floor of your kitchen. Poor little girl.
But like, what are you going to do?
What are you going to do? You can't rearrange everything.
No, you could wake up the morning of your,
wedding,
long anticipated and very expensive, non-refundable Hawaiian vacation, and your child could have an ear infection.
Yep.
And you're like, this is going to be terrible.
Oh, and they don't find out they have the ear infection until they're on the plane because of the
plane is taking off and they're screaming their head off.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, that's what's up. That's like, so what's take from all this? Prepare ahead of time.
Prepare.
But do not over prepare. Because like we said in the beginning, if you over prepare, you're just going to set yourself up for an anxiety attack. And
give yourself.
What would you say is a marathon? If you know you're packing, if you know you're leaving and you have a date, how much, I guess it's all dependent on the amount of stuff. How long do you give yourself to just really dive in with Netflix and like your sweatpants and like your messy bun and you pack?
Yeah. The very best, most efficient, most trouble-free move I ever had was when I sent the kids away. They went with my sister on a camping trip and I hadn't packed a single thing. And
you had no kids. This is
kids.
This is irrelevant information to the normal world. What if?
And I spent like 48 hours just marathon packing. Mm-hmm. And then movers came in, we moved everything and I unpacked everything, and their kids, only the kids' rooms were set up by the time they got home, but the kids' rooms were set up and Beautiful. The house had been moved.
You know what I noticed is that my kids, bless their souls, wanted to help a lot. Can I help pack? Can I help pack? And so I did a lot of it when they were out of the house. So I guess just like rule number 1, get the kids out of the way.
Yeah, that's the main thing. Because I mean, you could be making a pile of donation and they will take every single thing. That's my favorite. That's the only one I love, really, because it's a Happy Meal toy from 4 years ago. That's my most favoriteest toy in the whole entire wild world. And I'm like, you got it from a claw machine and you've never touched it since that day. What are you talking about? Do they suddenly become like so sentimental and attached to their stuff?
No, I don't ask their opinion, because the one time I did, I try and make them give me like 3 reasons why. And even then they'll come up with the reasons. So you make that choice for them. Okay.
Yes.
And maybe that Happy Meal toy might have some actual monetary value 30 years from now, but you're not going to remember where it is. So don't even convince yourself that you need it. Like, no. Her kid, your child that you're saving these things for is not going to want that crappy toy.
No.
Get rid of the toy. It's missing a leg, So like, but if you ask the kids their opinion, they're the worst hoarders. They're worse than like grandparents. They're worse than my grandma was, like, because everything's sentimental to them. Everything has sentimental value to them. It's like, no. So that's another tip. Don't wait till your kids leave so they don't see you throwing away their hopes and dreams, and then just donate that stuff like no other, because they're not going to remember it. And if they do, which has happened because my youngest remembers everything, it's so worth
honey,
whatever.
It got lost in the move. It got broken, whatever. Like they'll forgive that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then, give yourself a lot of grace. Don't take this so seriously, especially the moving in, the moving out. Like there's a time frame. Obviously, most people have a deadline date. They have to be out.
Moving
and that does get really moving
is generally your time frame.
Give yourself a lot of space.
I'm still moving in, and I moved in August, and we're in April.
If you have
things that I'm like,
if you have young kids or pets, like take the time to leave the house, go to the park, let them run it out. Don't feel like you have to just
moving in or out. I mean, you can really, it's a 24/7 thing. If you allow yourself it to be, you need to take moments. And those moments are not just going to work. That's not the moment where you break from work.
No, and ask for help or accept help if it's offered. I mean, this is not the time to be like stoic and
a lot of my friends offered to help, like not move out because I was far away. But when I moved back in and they were local, I was surprised by how many people were like, oh, can I help you unpack this and that? Which I was like, how do you know where my things are going to go? But like, also I realized that I was biting myself off it, like my own hands, because like I really extended it longer than I needed to because I didn't use the help. People
and you probably have mom friends who would be willing to take the kids for a play date or something and get them out for an hour or two, or, a local neighbor kid who can walk your dog for you. I don't know. Just like, don't be afraid to ask for help because it's a really stressful time and it's chaotic. So take what you can get. And then, there'll be an opportunity to pay it back in the future. Those people will need you for something too. So don't feel bad about it. It's a huge, hard thing, especially like I know moving as a single mom was a nightmare for me, but I got through it every time.
Right. You basically did it like when the kids were asleep at the end of the day, when you weren't working and you weren't feeding them and you weren't doing so. That's when it happens.
But you sacrifice sleep, and I mean, it can really take its toll on you. When you have
like a move out date breathing down your neck, sometimes it's like, okay, it's just going to really suck. And that's going to bring out what I can do as a human, like out in me, and see how resilient I am. But like, it's very, and the biggest thing of all, like remind yourself how temporary this time is, that eventually things will be unpacked. You'll be in your new space and you'll forget all about how exhausting that was, unless you're doing a podcast talking about it. Cause now I'm getting PTSD from the move, which, I like hadn't thought about it really until, just now, but it will be okay and it will get done. It's just,
if you're on a budget, like Megan said, get creative, use whatever resources you have available to you, and definitely understand that you don't have to have everything picture perfect.
No, I had a very big vision on how that was going to go, and it didn't look that way in the end, but it's okay because I got stuff out.
If you do have the budget, this is not a time to be overly frugal if you don't need to be. So you might be better off having professional help pack and move you, and not taking as much time off work, or not being so distracted from
certain
work.
Things need certain attention.
Yeah.
Very delicate items. Yeah.
Balance it out, because you might underestimate the amount of time it takes you to pack, move, and unpack. If you can get that done in one weekend with professional movers and not have to take time away periodically for weeks before and after.
Think about the pay.
Yeah, or be so distracted that if you're in a commission or a sales-based position, if you're so distracted that it's going to impact your income, just weigh the pros and cons, because you might think you're saving money and not actually be. It's a tough time. But again, I think, like we said, these are all great tips. Take them for what they are. Not everything works for everybody. Everybody has their own way of doing things, and you have to find what works for you.
You can literally do all our tips and it's still going to be exhausting and stressful.
Yeah,
and
it's still going to suck. Yeah. We're sorry. I would, because I'm in the midst of it, I would love to hear other people's moving tips. I'm sure our listeners and readers and viewers have a bunch of things I've never even thought of.
Mhm.
So yeah, if you want to share your moving tips with us, please do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's how you get new ones, is just hearing other people's, or like I said, doing the legwork of moving a bunch of times yourself and coming up with your own. But
Yeah,
please
I would
share
love
away.
to hear it. But yeah, go to Facebook and search She's a Full On Monet. We have a discussion board on there, and I will personally be checking those moving tips because I need them right now. I've got moves. My daughter's move coming up this month, and our move back into our home in a couple months.
Oh
So
my gosh.
I would love to hear from everyone.
Yeah, exactly.
And, as always, we just want to thank you guys for coming back week after week and sharing this time with us. We really appreciate it. The best thing you can do for us as a podcast, if you want to support us, is word of mouth. Just tell someone else that you enjoy this podcast, pass us along, because that is the best way that we grow. And we love to see the newcomers every week. So
Absolutely.
All right. Well,
Good.
Thank you so much. And I'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks so much for listening to this week's episode. Don't forget to bookmark our site, she'safullonmonet.com, and subscribe to our newsletter. You can also find us on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. If you're enjoying this podcast, it helps us a lot if you can follow, rate, and review. See y'all next week.